All right, we're joined by Virginia Tech head coach John Sheff, along with student athletes Nick Biddison, Gavin Cross, and Kate Hunter. Coach, if you don't mind opening us with an opening statement, then we'll take questions from the field and then from Zoom.
Just happy to be still playing here in June. Feel really fortunate to be playing at home. We don't have to travel. I feel like our guys get a better chance to rest and recover this late in the season. The weather's good. Playing a good team. We're a good team. Should be a lot of fun to watch.
Question, Berman in front.
John, based on what you've seen film of Oklahoma, what concerns, challenges do they pose for you this weekend?
They run well. Pretty aggressive on the bases. Their pitching is probably similar to ours. Similar. So I don't know. I mean, they have one pretty good left-handed starter, but most people do. I mean, they're good. They're a pretty hot team. They just beat Florida. They beat Texas in the Big 12 championship. So, but then again, most of the teams you play this time of the year are going pretty good, and they're going pretty good, and I think we're going pretty good. But as far as individual stuff that would concern us, I mean, outside of the fact they got a lot of guys that can run. I can't really say there's anything that we really haven't seen throughout the whole year in the ACC.
As far as your pitching, have you kind of determined who's starting Friday, who's starting Saturday? And given Drew's last two starts and Green's last start, any improvements or adjustments you want him to make this weekend?
We haven't decided yet. We're still kind of working on that in the next couple hours. Those guys, they didn't have their best starts, but they've also gotten us here, so I certainly can't complain about anything that they're doing. Both guys are very hard workers and prepare as good as anybody I've ever been around. But, they have to go out and execute pitches just like Oklahoma does. We have to execute plans just like they do. So, I can tell you our guys have a lot of experience, both before this year and in this year. So when you combine their experience with their talent, I'm just really looking forward to watching us compete against a good team and at this stage of the season at home.
Cade, defensively going against a team like Oklahoma with all the stolen base, all the speed they have on the base paths, how do you approach it behind the plate, balancing, managing the game for your pitchers and then also, the threats on the base paths?
I don't think we really necessarily change anything. Obviously, we just want to make sure we're switching up our looks and our timing to the plate. But with a team like them with speed, you just can't let that affect making pitches and getting guys out. So, not necessarily anything's going to change, just maybe, keep a closer eye on the guy on first.
And then, John, on Drew specifically, what's kind of been y'all's message to him? I know he hasn't had the best couple starts the past couple of weeks, but given all the success he's had, what's kind of been the clubhouse kind of message to, keep him rolling, as a freshman here?
To keep him rolling?
Yeah.
I rarely even talk to him. He really talks to me. Fecto prepares him. Our trainer prepares him. I ask him how he's doing. He says he's good. That's it. Honest to God, I swear to you, that's exactly the line of conversation. He's like Chris Gerard. They're like mutes. They rarely talk. But I'm really glad they're on our team because I know that when they go out there, they're going out there to just get after people.
And then you mentioned at the end of end of the regional that Chad Pinder and you had some former players involved. How much have you guys kind of talked with them over this past week prepping for this super regional, and how encouraging has their kind of message been to you for this team?
I haven't talked with Chad at all since last week, but his message was great to our guys, and we'll meet after this and have somebody else talk to him. It's kind of been like a tradition that we've done throughout the whole season. But Chad was great. He was, he was a former player, played in regional on the last team that Virginia Tech went to and hosted a regional here, and his message was great, and I knew it would be, but I haven't talked to him, so I just thanked him for his time, but I haven't talked to him since. I don't bother guys like that. I mean, they don't need to be bothered. They got enough stuff to worry about,
For the players, obviously, the bats were pretty much on fire throughout last weekend. How do you keep them hot? Is there a method to the madness to keep that offensive momentum rolling? And is it easier when your lineup is as deep as it is?
Yeah, I think you just prepare well and trust in each other. And I mean, we're playing for Omaha, and you just go out there and play hard and trust in each other and good things happen.
Yeah, John, your first ever win in Blacksburg was against Oklahoma back in Myrtle Beach in 2018. Do you
Yep.
recall anything from that game?
Yeah, I can recall a lot. They made 8 errors in a game and gave us the game. It was great. I never played in a game where an opposing team made that many errors against us. They were really good, but they were awful that day. And we just kind of lucked into playing against them when they had a really bad day. But they made 8 errors in the game. I can remember distinctly their second baseman throwing a 4-6-3 double play into the left field bullpen. And that's when I figured, man, maybe this is our day.
If I had told you in 2018 that in a couple of years you'd be sitting here getting ready, preparing for a super regional, what would you have said?
I don't know. I don't know what I said. When I first went to Maryland, we went to a super regional in the second year, and you don't expect it to happen, but when it happens, then you start to expect it to happen again. So, I've kind of seen it before, where a team that maybe had a ton of national expectations became a national level team very quickly. It has everything to do with how good the players are and how well the coaching staff prepares them. And that's all we do. We have really good players. They're tough, and our assistants prepare them daily on a very high level. And so I don't really know. I don't really have a high end. Like, if we won the national championship in 2 weeks, it wouldn't be like overly surprising to me. I can't say it would be really. So.
Nick, you guys have played in the ACC, one of the best conferences in college baseball, and you guys have played a gauntlet for a really long season. How do you think, when you get this late in the year, when you've seen so many different arms, when you've seen so many different batters, how do you think that kind of prepares you guys for this stage?
I think it just prepares us for whatever Oklahoma has. We don't really know what they have. They're in a different conference, and we don't know how good that conference is. But at this stage of the game, I feel like there's nothing. Coach Jeff says it all the time. There's nothing we haven't seen yet. There's not going to be any surprises this weekend. It's the same game we've been playing for the last however many weeks. So just what we've taken from the ACC schedule is just that, hey, like, we're good enough to play with the best, and this is just another weekend to do that.
For Nick and Cade, another sellout scheduled for this weekend. Can you describe what it was like to play in that atmosphere last weekend? And I don't know, what kind of home field advantage English Field provides for this team, and maybe ways that you guys feed off of that?
No, yeah, that's kind of what you play for. You play for playing in front of your home crowd and a sellout crowd, that is, and it just adds a different kind of energy in the ballpark. I mean, this is the first time last week, at least for me, there was hundreds of people in the stands when we were taking BP, and that was just an awesome feeling. Made it so much more fun, and made it easier to get juiced up and ready to play. I know I had a couple buddies in this weekend, and they were in the crowd, and they said it was the most fun they've had in a while. So it's just an awesome atmosphere to play in front of.
For the players, anybody, after going 3-0 last weekend and putting up all those runs and being at home again, obviously, what is the confidence level of this team going into the Super Regional?
It's good. Pretty confident. The same we've been all year. Nothing really changes.
And then also for the players, to be now just 2 wins away from Omaha, I mean, is the excitement level just at a new high where you can you're so close to Omaha, you can kind of reach out and touch it? What's kind of the mood of the team as you get so close to Omaha now?
I think we're excited for tomorrow. We're not really thinking about going to Omaha yet. It's just we're excited for Friday night game in a Super Regional, which none of us have ever been to, except maybe Sean Fisher, which I'm not even sure if he's been. So we're just excited to open up in front of our home crowd.
John, you after going 3-0 in the regional and putting up all those runs, you pretty happy, pretty secure with how the team is playing going into the Supers, or do you not put much stock into last weekend because you weren't playing a team of the caliber you're going to play this weekend?
That's a good question. I don't think our guys are. I think our guys are just as prepared now as they were last weekend. They're more experienced. They played in front of bigger crowds. They played at home in that atmosphere. So I think that's an advantage for us. How much, I don't know. As far as the competition last weekend versus this, yeah, on paper, you wouldn't think that the teams we played last weekend are as good as this team. But you don't know. You don't really know until you roll it out there. You know, again, I've been a 4 seed and a 3 seed many a time. I've been a 2 seed in 14 and beat South Carolina, who was a 1 seed at the time. They weren't that good that year. But they weren't like South Carolina good. I'll rephrase that as an example. But sometimes you'll run into a 3 or 4 or 2, whatever, seeds that are just way better than maybe what you would think. So I don't know how Oklahoma's going to be. I mean, I would imagine they'd be very good. I know Skip Johnson. Well, I've known him for 15 years, you know, since I was back in Kansas in the Big 12. He was I used to recruit his players when he was a junior college coach at Navarro, and I was at Louisiana Lafayette. And then he went to be Augie's pitching coach at Texas, and then moved on to Oklahoma. So just an old, you know, strong old baseball guy. But he does a good job. I mean, he's got good people working for him. There's a lot of good players in Oklahoma and Texas. But there's a lot of good players in Virginia, too, in Tennessee, in New Jersey. So we feel pretty good about our players. And that's the best I can tell you. Our players are – if they weren't really good, we wouldn't be sitting here. We'd be doing something else.
This one's for the players. I asked the softball team this before their super regional. It's really easy to, you know, kind of overthink a situation like this, especially for the younger players. Obviously, you're 2 wins away from a College World Series, no big deal. As you guys, as veterans, how do you kind of manage kind of the mental aspect going into it? How do you try to avoid overthinking a situation or overthinking going into a game?
I think it's just like one pitch at a time, one game at a time, like Biddy said. Like, we'll go out tomorrow night and we'll prepare and we'll play and try to win. And then when tomorrow's over, then we'll look to Saturday. And however many games we play this weekend, we'll play hard. And hopefully at the end of the weekend, we're going to Omaha. I mean, kind of take it one pitch, one play at a time, and take it from there and not look at it for anything bigger than what it is.
And go ahead.
I think that we, as a team, collectively, we've never really had to have that conversation. Though we have some younger kids, we have a lot of kids who are very mature, especially when it comes to the baseball aspect of life. And honestly, that's never really came up just because we haven't had to. Everyone kind of takes their own mentality, their own mindset, but we all have a collective team mindset that's been working, so why change it?
And Nick, I wanted to ask you, after last weekend's performance, I think you've definitely lived up to the utility position. How'd you get so good at so many different positions? Is there a position you haven't played yet?
I haven't played shortstop, which me and Tanner kind of joke around a little bit about that someday I'm going to be playing shortstop. He just doesn't know it. But no, I just, my whole life growing up, I just kind of played different positions, and, you know, I just did it. I just always kind of said yes. I never really said I had to be set to a certain position, and then I knew that when I got to a stage like this, that it was gonna be really important that I could be able to play anywhere, just to keep me on the field. And I think it's done more than just kept me on the field. I think it's allowed the team to, you know, roll the right lineup out. So just whatever I can really do to help the team win, that's kind of all. That's why I do it. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, Cade, to be part of this team, that the first ever Virginia Tech team to play in a super regional, to have this opportunity in front of you, what does it mean to you?
I mean, it's awesome. I think it really hit everyone last week. They were putting up the banners on the wall, like the 2022. It was highlighted in yellow because we're hosting, and we all kind of took a second. We're like, wow, that's kind of cool. You know, this is a team. This is a time of our lives that we're never going to forget, no matter really what happens. It's been a memorable season, and, you know, it just means a lot.
Any more questions from the field?
John, as the person who has some super regional experience with your 2 appearances at Maryland, how much do you lean on that experience in prepping this team for the stage?
I look back at it and try to take some things away from it, yeah. But at the end of it all, it's a baseball game. It's really nothing more than that. The issue is that there's a lot of distractions around it. And as your team has more and more success, everybody wants to be a part of it, you know. As far as people coming to the games and interviews and the NCAA, and there's a lot of distractions. So you cannot get caught up in them. You just have to try to keep it as much about preparation in baseball as you can.
For John, kind of building on what you just said, I mean, the games this weekend are going to be broadcast on a number of ESPN networks, whichever one's on any given day. But, you know, the games are more on a national scale. People are able to watch them all over. Now that you're in the final 16, what is making it to this point do for the program just from a larger scale moving forward?
Yeah, I think it does a lot for it. You know, we've been trying to build it as rapidly as we can, and a lot of it has to do with getting really good players that can function in high leverage situations like this weekend, maintaining the coaching staff. I feel like we've been able to do that thus far. And then, you know, whenever our season ends, we'll have another challenge. You know, we'll lose a lot of guys in the Major League Draft, into graduation, and then it'll be to put the next group together. But that's what college sports is, you know, regardless of what sport you're talking about. You try to do the best you can for the team you're with, and take care of those guys when they leave as best you can, and then you move on and you do it all over again.
And Coach, we have one question from Zoom. Hank Kurtz of the AP likes to know, why have offensive numbers surged across college baseball this year? Is the college game trending towards what the MLB game looks like, with a lot of homers and strikeouts? And if so, is that a good thing?
I mean, probably, it's probably trending that way. I think baseball in general is probably trending that way. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I think it's a good thing for the fans, the people that watch the game, because they like to watch a lot of offense, and they like to watch, you know, power and slug. You know, 2-1 games, 3-2, 1-0 aren't really cool to watch. Although they might actually be the best baseball games to watch because there's a lot of execution going on. There's good pitching and defense. I think if you're a true baseball fan, you can really appreciate good pitching and defense. And I'm not saying the other people aren't, but it is probably a lot more fun to watch a game that has 24 runs scored in it than 4. So yeah, it probably is kind of trending towards the pro game.
All right, one more from Bourbon.
And John, just to follow up on that, do you expect the numbers to, do you expect less runs to be scored this weekend than last weekend? I mean, obviously, you look at Oklahoma, Florida, Oklahoma didn't have that, put up those numbers there last weekend. Are you expecting a different kind of scores this weekend than last weekend?
I don't really know what I'm expecting as far as scores go. I mean, all I know is that for the most part, our guys have scored a lot of runs per game this year. And I know that our pitchers have, for the most part, thrown pretty well as theirs. So, usually when you get to this time of the year, you don't see a whole lot of really low-scoring games. Usually it's a little bit of 7-5, 9-4 kind of stuff where guys are scoring runs. Rarely will you see the 3-2, 2-1 game. Because I think for both pitching staffs, it's difficult to get out both lineups 27 times. It's difficult. Usually starters aren't going 5 to 6 innings. But again, you can put the word usually in parentheses because baseball isn't very predictable, So.